Let's say some stuff and we'll go back and make sure. We should be able to play it back, I think, if we stop it.
Well, I pushed the button, but I can't tell. I thought the other
Well,
day...
the red light's up
Red light
on
came
the
on.
front.
Up to the top.
And I know. Yeah, it's counting. And I see the sound levels and it's.
Okay, so we're a go.
Yep, it's recording.
All right.
So we'll all be in there now.
This is Rose Marshall with the Capital Area District Libraries. Today is Tuesday, July 14th, 2015, and I'm at the Stockbridge branch interviewing Dorene White about Stockbridge as part of the Stockbridge Oral History Project. This is a joint project of the Capital Area District Libraries and the Stockbridge Area Genealogical Historical Society. So we'd like to start today and ask you for your full name.
Mary Dorene Glenn White.
And when and where were you born?
I was born on the east edge of Stockbridge in a little house on November 11th, 1922.
And have you lived here all your life?
I have, except for during the war years when I followed my husband around the country a bit, and then we lived in Detroit for about a year and a half because he was assigned to the Weather Bureau at the Detroit City Airport. But he did not like working shifts and driving back and forth in the traffic, and he hated the city. So when my dad said, "I need a parts man," my husband said, "I'll take it." And he knew nothing about being a parts man at that time.
And what kind of parts were you
At the Chevrolet Buick garage.
at the? Then that was here in Stockbridge.
Yes.
So you moved
Yes.
back to
Yes.
Stockbridge.
I'm not sure exactly when, but about 1947, 8. You know.
So could you give us a brief overview of your personal background?
Well, like I said, I was born at Glen and lived in town, grew up in town, went to high school here, graduated in 1940. I thought maybe I'd like to be a kindergarten teacher, so I went 1 year down to Ipsy to Michigan State Normal College. Then I decided I don't know if I want to be a kindergarten teacher, so I quit. And I worked here in town for a year, and then, let's see, that gets me, I graduated in 40, 41, yeah. Then I decided it was time to take a business course. So I started that. And of course I'd been dating Kurt White. And he knew that the draft number was going to come up soon for him. And he told me that. He thought it would be coming up in November. And apparently I said to him, well, if you're going to be drafted, either we're going to get married or we're going to be able to date other people while you're gone. So in 2 weeks' time, we planned a wedding when I was going to business school at that time. So we had our wedding at my folks' farm on Dutton Road because the church was in use that day. And we had a nice wedding, small wedding. And after a brief honeymoon, went back to business school. He was drafted 6 weeks later. And after I finished in May, I guess it was, I started following him. First summer was in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I sold candy for Woolworths. And the next move was to Rantoul, Illinois, and I drove a pickup truck for the motor pool and took the fellows in the medical warehouse wherever they needed to go. Then the next move was to Lowry Field in Denver, or Aurora, Colorado. So we were a year and a half or so in Denver. And just before he got his orders to be shipped out, I found out I was pregnant. And about that time, his parents wanted me to come to Trenton, New Jersey and help them. They had 3 little grandchildren they were taking care of just temporarily while a 4th one was born to that brother of Kurt's wife, Mary. And so I went to Trenton, New Jersey, by train. Spent a month there, and I said, I need to get back to Michigan. So I came back to my mom and dad's in time to go to the Upper Peninsula with them for our annual vacation. And then Kurt was sent to Hawaii, of all places. He had real tough service, 6 months in Hawaii. And the war was declared over while he was on his way on the ship. So he came back 3 weeks after Larry was born, in January 30th of 1946. He got his appointment back at the Weather Bureau, and they, as I said, they sent him to Detroit. So then we lived in Detroit, I don't know, a year or two. Larry was a toddler. Every chance we got, we came back to Stockbridge. If he had 3 days off, we were back here. We moved back to Stockbridge then and rented a house on Center Street. And then had our second son, Rick, who was born in the Stockbridge Hospital. And let's see, then we decided to buy a house down on North William Street. We bought a house with 2 lots next door, vacant lots, because we wanted to build. And when our third child, who was Sally, when Sally came along and we had 2 bedrooms but 3 kids, it was time to build that house. And I designed it myself, handed the piece of cardboard to our builder, and he built it. And I still love my house. I've been in it 61 years now. So from then on, it was, well, then we had our 4th child in 1956. That was another girl, so we had 2 boys and 2 girls. From then on, it was doing all the things that a mother does. Involved in the community and in the school and in the church, you know, the whole bit. The Sunday school teacher, the room mother, the den mother, work with the band and all that sort of thing.
So that's very interesting, and glad you shared that with us. So our general focus for our interview today is going to be the downtown area of Stockbridge, which I think you know lots about. And I know that you used to give tours of the downtown area. How and why did you get started doing this?
That's a good question. I think first thing that happened along that line was one of the elementary teachers asking me to come and talk to her class when they were studying local history or something. And I don't remember what I used for, but I took what I had and I talked to the kids. And then it was several years later that, I don't know whether it was Joe Mayer who called me from the community ed office, but said, well, in May, our kids, I think it was middle school kids, have an opportunity to take a variety of things. And one of the things we'd like them to do is to learn a little of the history of Stockbridge. And could you work up something and take them on a little tour or something? So I put together my historical tour of Stockbridge, starting at the middle school and ending at the middle school, and just going down around the square, but pointing out at each intersection the things that were down that street, like the depot and things like that. And so I did that for a few years. Not many kids went, but there was one boy in particular who asked more questions than anyone else. And I learned a couple years ago that I think he's maybe a history teacher now. So, touched somebody anyway. Probably didn't influence him to do it, but at least it hit home there.
So what's your earliest memory of Stockbridge?
You'll be surprised. You know the house on the across the side street from the funeral home that the village recently bought. My folks moved from the little house on east edge of town, which they were renting, and they rented that house. And my earliest memory is falling down the stairs in that house.
Were you injured?
No.
Oh, good.
No. And my other memory from that house is Gladys Milner, who was the sister of Hugh Milner, who was the undertaker's son and became the undertaker. They lived upstairs in the funeral home, and she was paying attention to this little blonde girl next door, and she would invite me over to have a tea party with her, only I called it a pea-tarty. And I remember, I just have a vague memory of sitting in the circular part of their living room, probably, and having a tea party with Gladys Milner.
How fun. How did this town square look when you were growing up, and how was it changed from what it looks today that we see?
You mean the square or the building or everything?
Everything.
Okay, well, first of all, there was like a chain link fence all around the square. I think that was so you could hook your horses to it when you came to town, hook up the team or whatever. The flagpole was on the building itself in the center peak on the front. It was attached to the building. I remember seeing that in old pictures. I don't remember actually. But I do remember the bandstand, which was there. It was the first one, that is. And I remember the building before the addition was put on the back, which first housed the fire department and then the ambulance, and is now, of course, ambulance. There were changes made to the front entrances that go downstairs. They were extended a bit and changed. I don't remember just how or when, but they were changed. And of course the trees were nowhere near as big as some of them. Didn't have the plantings that we have now. That's all I can think of right this minute.
Did they do special events on the town square? Like, did they have, like parades or festivals?
Yes, and I don't know what happened before 1935, but when they celebrated the centennial, they had rides and things going on in the square. Also, they had free movies on the square once a week, all summer. Dancer's Store used to lend out folding stools. I think they were stools rather than chairs. And people would go and pick up a stool, take it across the square, watch the movie. I don't know for sure what night of the week that was, but I remember going. Used to be band concerts in the bandstand. When I was in high school, I played in the band. Played the snare drum. So that's about all I remember. I mean, through the years there have been various things, but some of them were before my time, and then I was gone those few years. And I think the Legion Carnival started there the first year or two before they moved it out to the Legion Hall. They called it the Free Fair.
What do you think is the most unique building in downtown Stockbridge?
Well, it would have to be the Township Hall. Most people call it the Town Hall. It's actually the Township Hall because it's owned by the township.
Yeah, and my next question. The town hall is definitely a visual center of the community. What were some of the uses over the years?
A lot of things. I have pictures of the stage decorated, very fancy decorations for graduations In 1900. I remember going there for, my Grandma Glenn took me to a dance there during the centennial in 1935. And as a side to that, can I just put in there, I had recently had my tonsils taken out, and Dr. Culver did it at our house on South Clinton Street on the dining room table. That's a bit different than today. But to get back to the town hall, elections used to be there. The library was in the basement. Organizations like I don't know, it was the firemen, what they used to have what they called feather parties, which would be a bingo type thing, and they would give away a turkey at Thanksgiving time. I didn't ever go to that, but that I remember there being feather parties, and I had to find out what they were because I was young at that time. But they used to have lots of shows that would come to town. Some organization would sponsor a play or a show. A traveling director would come with the scripts, get local people to be in it, and quite often my mother was the piano player who accompanied these shows. Sometimes Lenora Milner did it, but my mother did it a lot. And my dad kind of hanging around that building at that time. I think his name is, I shouldn't even tell this probably, but somewhere behind the stage, his name is scrawled on the wall. I did find it once, but there were square dances there, there were lessons, there was a youth center at one time, short time, at the town hall. Art shows, antique shows, thrift shop. There was a thrift shop in the 70s that the 3 or 4 churches put on like a big, like a Goodwill. And it survived there for several years. And that was before Outreach was formed, you see. So graduation ceremonies and Lions Club meetings, all kinds of things have used that building. It's been well used.
Was there a particular day of the week that was a busy day in town?
I think Saturday.
What do people, I mean, what do you have any idea of why Saturday would be so busy?
I know why my mother would go shopping Saturday night at the Hoosier store, probably. You realize a lot of this time was during the Depression. She would go down and usually came home with bananas. The store was not open on Sunday. None of the stores were open on Sunday. And by Monday, those bananas might not have been good, so they sell them cheap. Prices were pretty cheap anyway, if you look back at the old ads. But I can't really tell you, unless it just was the time for people to come into town on Saturday. And maybe somebody else would name a different day, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a break from the week's work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where would you go if you wanted, to just run into somebody or see somebody in town? Was there a particular place that was, busy that you could see people?
Well, when I was a teenager, we would go to Spatafour's Sweet Shop. That was our hangout. In the back, they had a booth or tables, and my favorite was to get a chocolate Coke for 5 cents in one of their little glasses.
Sounds like a fun place to be. What was traffic like? And what was it like here before there were stop signs at the Clinton and Main Street intersection?
I have a memory of crossing that intersection, but I did it at an angle, so that tells you the traffic wasn't too bad. Instead of going across and across, I'd just go kitty corner. But the other thing about traffic is I lived on the in the 400 block of South Clinton when I was growing up. We used to roller skate on Clinton Street when it was, and I don't remember when it was paved, but that I don't know, but it was paved when we were roller skating. And if we were sliding downhill on one of those hills nearby, we didn't worry about traffic when we got to the bottom if we ran out into the street.
Traffic was pretty light then.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I don't remember trucks.
Did you go shopping in town? And what could you buy there? And, like, where did you buy certain things? Like, where would you go for groceries? Or where would you go for clothes or furniture?
Well, we could get it all right here in town because Dancer's department store was a pretty complete department store. Men's, women's, children's, fabrics, shoes, even groceries, or a meat counter at least. I worked at Dancer's for a short time during that period after I quit college. And I remember a customer wanting to buy liver that I was waiting on, and I did not like even the sight of liver, so I called Don Murphy to come over. Would you please take care of this customer? And he did. But also the Hoosier store, which was originally the Applegates running that, and then they sold it to Stanfield Brothers. They also had sheets and towels and some women's clothing, and that was not a large store. Milner's had furniture store. Well, that pretty much tells it, I think. Oh, just a minute though. And the drugstore in the corner, the A.W. Brown Company, they had some groceries too early on. When my dad was in school, he graduated in 1911, I have a bill of sale from their class buying groceries at the pharmacy. But they sold wallpaper, they sold paint, that's where we got our school books.
So it's kind of like a hardware store of today.
Well, I mean, it was still a pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
But we also had a hardware store that had the usual hardware, and it had a gift section as well. Oh, then also in the 30s, we had a gift shop. It was Barbara Reeves' gift shop, and it was just called Barbara's, because I remember buying something for my sister there when she was married.
So in later years, after the horse and buggy, obviously cars and trucks came to town. And could you buy one in town, or could you get it fixed here?
Oh, you bet. Of course, my dad had started a garage here in 1913, and he still had a garage here. And we sold Chevrolet and Buick. So I wouldn't, of course, buy anything. Well, I didn't have to buy it. I could just either take a demo or a used car. I think anytime I asked my dad for a car or something to drive, to take the kids, my friends somewhere, he would let me drive something. Might be a pickup, but something.
So did they fix it there at
They had a
the
repair
dealer, or
shop.
there was a
Yes.
different repair shop?
No, there was a repair shop right there, yes. And there was Collings Garage, Howard Collings. There was the Ford dealership. They all had repair shops.
What about barber shops or hair
Oh,
salons?
yes. Annabelle Owen had a hair salon. Mrs. Lau had a hair salon. Jay Asquith had a barber shop. Fred Moffett had a barber shop. I remember going to Fred Moffett to get my bangs trimmed. I have, you know how you get these little flashes of memory? Just a little scene in your mind. And one of mine is getting the bangs cut and closing, just peeking through my eyelids and blowing, trying to blow it off my face, blowing the hair that was falling off my nose.
Because it tickled.
Yeah.
Tell me some more about that hotel at Maine and Clinton. Did you ever stay there?
No.
You lived in town,
No.
you didn't need to.
It had several different owners through the years, and I don't know that much about it except what you can find in the Stockbridge history books. But
Well, were there a lot of rooms? I mean,
well, it's 3 stories, and then of course there was a restaurant or food service on the main floor. I remember when there was a home dairy ice cream place in there. And I think that's where Lee Turney had her dining room there at one point. But I don't remember that much about it. My dad told me something I don't know whether to believe or not, but because he was a storyteller. But he said there used to be a 2-story outhouse at the hotel. Well, that's logical. On the back.
that would be something to see.
Well, yes.
Daisy Chapel. She had a photo studio on East Main Street until 1943. Did you ever have your picture taken there?
She took, not there, but she took our wedding pictures out at the house in 1942, and we called her Chapel, I think, Daisy Chapel.
Chapel.
I'm not sure that was correct, but I think that's what we always called her. She was remarkable. She did a lot of the postcards that I have collected. That she did. So.
If you wanted to go out to eat on a special occasion here in town, where you didn't go out to eat?
We didn't go out to eat. We really didn't. I mean, I don't remember going out to eat, and I don't remember taking my kids out to eat in town. I mean, we'd go to things at the church. A lot of times there'd be a meal involved. And when I was growing up, on New Year's Day, the big day was at the Masonic Temple. They had a big potluck sort of a meal at noon, and people played games, and it was an all-day affair. And our school picnics usually would be over at Bartlett's at Pleasant Lake. A lot of memories from there. That's where the high school kids would hang out in the summertime, because they had some of the big bands there for their dance hall that we didn't know they were going to be big bands, but they were. And I'm getting off the subject of the downtown Stockbridge, but it's a big part of Stockbridge kids' history, especially. You could go on Wednesday night to the dance, 2 for a quarter. It was Pal night. We went every week.
Do you have any other special memories or things that you would like to share with us today?
I don't know, except the fact that I think Stockbridge is a great town. I've always been a Stockbridge booster. The schools and everything. I'm happy to see doing this project. I think it'll be worthwhile. I'm not sure about my own part, but I think it's a worthwhile project.
Well, we thank you for being here today, and that concludes our interview with Dorene White.
Thank you. I don't know whether we did it all